Last week, I spent an hour hands-on with the S22, S22 Plus, and S22 Ultra, and I think there are like 6 important things that you should know before buying them. So in this video, I'm going to talk about that and my experience with the devices, and then also point out the key differences between the S22 and the S22 Ultra, because there are a lot of them that you should know about. Alright, the first thing is probably going to be the headline for a lot of articles. The S22 Ultra has native S Pen support now, and the actual place where the S Pen goes into the device. So it actually looks a lot like a Note because it has this big 6.8-inch display and the S Pen slot. And so we'll talk a little bit more about what I think this means for the Note later in the video. But the S Pen being here is great because I think that the S Pen adds a lot of functionality to the phone. There are like some new features here, so there's lower latency. It now has an improved handwriting to text feature for 88 languages. And the S Pen can now also anticipate the direction that you're writing or drawing to give you a quicker response time. So it feels a lot closer to writing on paper. But I do want to be clear that it definitely still feels like you're writing on a screen. Like it's not like eyes closed while I'm writing on paper right now, you can tell, but it's definitely getting better. The second thing that you should know is that the S22 and S22 Plus have lower resolution displays than the S22 Ultra. They're FHD Plus versus a QHD Plus on the S22 Ultra, which I definitely think is actually something to note. Although because the S22 Ultra is 0.7 inches bigger than the S22 and 0.2 inches bigger than the S22 Plus, in terms of PPI, it's a little bit more similar. And they both have 120 Hz dynamic refresh rate displays. And just to be 100% clear, the S Pen does not work on the S22 or S22 Plus. So if you want that S Pen support, you have to go with the Ultra. Third thing that you should know is that the performance on all three is much better this year. So you have the Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 chip, which Samsung is saying is going to offer like overall performance improvements. One of the main ones being the camera. There's a lot of AI going on here now with the camera and a lot of computational photography going on behind the scenes. And this is one of the areas where there are major differences between the S22 Ultra and the regular S22 and S22 Plus, starting with the fact that the S22 Ultra has 2 telephoto lenses to help with zoom range, and they also have different main sensors. So the S22 and S22 Plus have a brand new 50 megapixel sensor, and the S22 Ultra has a 108 megapixel sensor. And if you've watched the other videos that I've made about Samsung phones on this channel, you'll know that my feelings towards these high megapixel sensors are very mixed, because on the one hand, you get a lot of detail, but on the other hand, I've experienced focus fringing issues because the sensors are so large, and I've experienced issues with brightness and overall just quality of the photo. And so I often would just use the pixel binning mode, which is basically where it takes the pixels and it combines them into larger pixels. For 108 megapixels, it would do it in a 9:1 ratio. And that's cool, but then you lose some of the detail and niceness that you get with the higher res. And so with the S22 Ultra, Samsung is introducing a technology that hopes to combine the benefits that you get from pixel binning with the benefits that you get from the full 108 megapixel shot. This happens behind the scenes, so there's no way to like manually turn this on or off. Unfortunately, I would love to be able to see like what difference it's actually making by turning it on and off, but it sounds promising. And the S22 and S22 Plus also have this kind of, it's just under a different name called texture binning, and it's because the sensor is actually different and it's only a 50 megapixel sensor, but the idea is the same. Take the high megapixel sensor, combine it with the great dynamic range that you get with a pixel bin image, and merge it into one shot, which hopefully looks awesome. I'm definitely going to test this in the camera comparison. I'm hopeful that the sensor has definitely been improved this year. In the viewfinder, when I was just looking at some quick shots that I was snapping on the phone, they look pretty good. I think one of the other areas that Samsung has struggled with is color tone, and especially for skin tone, so I'm going to test that. The Ultra now also has advanced auto framing, which can basically detect up to 10 subjects and optimize focus, automatically adjust the zoom angle, etc. So if you're into that, great, but if you're not, like, you never have to use it if you don't want to. Also, supposedly there's 4 times more photo data with a new multi-frame processing, a wider field of view, and supposedly portrait mode is better on all 3 with an AI stereo depth map. So basically it's an AR algorithm that can see single strands of hair and kind of use that to separate you from the background. I'm not completely 100% sold on this because I've heard tons of companies say that their portrait mode is so much better and it looks like a DSLR. And then sometimes it does and it looks great, and then other times you're like, what was this taken on? Why does it look so bad? So I'm hopeful that this AI algorithm is going to help, but again, that is definitely going to be something that we do have to test. There are some big battery discrepancies here on paper, but I don't actually think they're going to be as significant as they seem for most of them. So one of the big discrepancies is the difference in milliamp hours. So the S22 has a 3700 milliamp hour battery, and then the Plus has a 4500, and then the Ultra has 5000. So initially on paper, it's like 3700 versus 5000. That's like a huge difference. The S22 Ultra is going to be the battery king, but it has a 0.7 inch bigger display and a much higher resolution display. And so I actually think they could end up being similar in terms of battery life. We'll see. The main area where the S22 Ultra I think is going to pull ahead is just the charge speed. It's 45 watt wire charging versus a 25 watt on the S22. But the S22 Plus does get that 45 watt. So if you want fast charging on the regular models, just get the Plus. And they all have 15 watt wireless charging. The S22 and S22 Plus kind of just feel like the standard, like, you want a Samsung flagship phone, may as well get this type of thing, because they're both under that $1,000 price tag. So the S22 Plus is the $999, and then the S22 is $799.99, which feels like a really promising price tag. Like, I'm hopeful this is gonna be a great deal. The S22 Ultra is $1199.99, and so I think that when we think about what this phone means for the Note lineup and other things like that, it seems to me like it's too early to kind of speculate and say time of death on the Note. Like, we could definitely still see another Note. But I think when I think about Samsung's strategy here, I think that they're trying to kind of condense their flagship lines into the foldables and the candy bar style, and it kind of makes sense to just have like that one main flagship, which is the S22 Ultra, and the other phones that are flagships but not over $1,000, which is the S22 and S22 Plus, versus having an S22 Ultra, a Note, and the foldables. If you just think about from like a resource standpoint and what most people are going to be buying, I think that by adding the S Pen, they've really kind of opened up the door for Note users to enjoy the S series phone. We'll see. If you want to see my foldable coverage, you can click right here. And I'm going to have full reviews and everything on the S22, S22 Plus, and S22 Ultra. So please get subscribed if you like this video and you want to see the next one. Have an awesome rest of the day, and I'll catch you in the next video. Bye.